Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is, I believe, a Sunday night. If I haven't mistakenly time shifted somewhere else, I've had a hectic but wonderful day. Hey there, Brooks. Thanks for shouting out. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, everybody watching. Um, yeah, there's been a lot of talk about rugby today in our Discord. I've not been able to see any of it, but I'm sure it's all been very exciting sport. What sport? Don't know about that. Um, Right, we are on our final session zero of Untold Chronicles for the foreseeable future. Firstly, the tech is working. We have Fancy Grounds up and the webcam is working, which is a miracle. So this one is for the Shadowless or Shadowless. It's me being clever and renaming the Underdark. There's not a lot of difference between Shadowless and the Underdark. Um, until you delve deeper, so you will be familiar with many of the concepts and ideas. And this session zero is to generate the characters that are going to take part in this initial setting and to introduce them to you, introduce the players to you, and find out sort of character connections so that we can hit the ground running with episode one. So without further ado, I'm going to let the players, rather than the characters, introduce themselves first and foremost. I'm going to go down in order of you connecting, and I'm going to call you by your user handles or names until we um, get to know what you prefer to be called. So without further ado, Quinzel, 1, 2, 3. Hello, who are you? Please introduce yourself.
Hello, it's Michael who's sharing his other half's login.
Yeah, I technically know who you are, but welcome again, Michael. Really looking forward to this. And I'm assuming, as you've had said in the past, Michael is what you want to be known by in
Yep,
this.
happy with that, thanks.
Excellent. Um, then we move rapidly down to Primate, higher Primate, another
Hi.
name and voice that you probably will recognise. Do you want to
Yeah,
quickly
sorry
do?
if you're bored of it.
I, I reckon they're probably more bored of me than you, so go for it.
Hi, my name's Andrew, and I go by Primate on the Discord and in the Twitch chat.
And you are happy with Andrew.
I am indeed, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Another one that you should all be familiar with, especially if you use our Discord, because he has done all of the beautiful um, sort of promos for the game, and he's been very active over the last kind of few weeks, really helping us out with the tech and everything else. Jam Hands, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Jam Hands, or otherwise known as James.
Excellent, and you're okay with James?
Of course.
And once again, thank you very much for all the help that you have been doing.
No problem.
And then last but not least, Murdrobe. Murdrobe? How do you? Is that how we're pronouncing that?
That's what I'd normally pronounce it.
Yeah, I've never had to actually say it out loud before. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Robert.
Hiya, Rob. Do you want Rob or Robert?
I don't really mind.
Okay, I'll call you Rob. That's what I tend to call you anyway. Another regular player of ours, been with us. I think you were the very, very first sort of twisted narrative player, really, when you joined us for some of those early daytime sessions, and has been with us ever since. So we really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and doing this as well. So there we go. That is our players, but now we need to move across to character generation for these characters that are going to take part in the Shadowless. So you've probably heard all of this before, but I'm going to go for it again. It is the last time for a while. So the first thing that everybody kind of needs to do is go to the bottom button of your virtual tabletop, and you'll see there's a library button there. Click on that. That opens up your library page. What I've started telling people to do is click on the all button, which is on the top right hand side. That accesses you all of the buttons. So you've got everything then for what you need in the future. But before you close the library page, what you really need to do is activate your modules. The modules are my content, that Fantasy Grounds allow me to share with all the players in this campaign. So if you click the modules button, it opens up a big page of all the content that I've got, and you can cherry pick what you want really. If your computer is capable of handling all the information, then just download everything that you can, so you've got access to all the information which at some point you might need. That takes a little bit of time. Whilst you're doing that, I will start talking about the initial stages of character generation, which again most of you have done before because you're playing my Fantasy Grounds ones. I'm just going to say a big shout out to Miss Blackthorn. Hey there, thanks for joining us as well. If you are in chat, please shout out, ask questions. Helps me kind of fill time and answer the questions that you need to know the answers to. So character generation. My big fat head is still in the way of the button that you need to press. But at the top of the right hand side of your virtual tabletop is a button with PC and a little knight's head. This is how you generate your character. So you click on that, it opens up the character selection page, which again is kind of a little bit mistitled because character selection, I suppose, is also about character generation, but not overly intuitive. You go down to this button here, which is the blue button with the star, and if you hover over that, it says Open Character Wizard, and you click on that, and it opens up the character wizard. This is pretty much straightforward. If you've downloaded all the content, you can see all the many different races that you've got access to. You obviously write in your name, you've got the next and save button, and then you've got these buttons that do race, stats, class, background, inventory, spells and feats. And you can just work your way through it. Fundamentally, it's fairly straightforward. The only issue that I've had, and it's not really a big issue, it's probably me just being stupid, I guess, is the stats button. If you click on the stats button, it calls up how you can generate your stats, and it says select a method for determining ability scores. And where it says standard array, it is actually a drop down button. So if you click on that, you get all the different options for creating ability scores. What we're using for this campaign is either point buy or standard array. But yeah, as Brooks has said, all those dice. I like to do this. I get to roll the dice, and it kind of, let's see what we've got. Oh, we've got an 18. Woo! Oops. We have an 18. So yeah, we're rolling that. That is not bad at all, really. We've got an 18, a 15, a 14, an 11, a 10, and a 9. Make a pretty decent character out of that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're not doing rolling. Two nights ago, I managed to roll a 10 in every stat other than one that was 6, which goes to show you that dice rolling. I'm old school. I come from a time that very early on, we used to roll 3d6 and not 4d6 and drop the lowest. And we used to do it in order of your stats. So we'd roll 3d6 and that'd be your strength score, 3d6 and that'd be your dexterity score, and then we would create characters based on the stats that we rolled. Little did we know in those very early days that you could mix things up. You could change your stats around. You could basically make it up as you go along, really. So much has been learnt. Back in the early days, the books were, I suppose I was a kid as well, but I did mistake hit die for hit points. So, really powerful creatures like dragons had 9 hit die, which fundamentally meant you rolled 9 dice and added it together to make their hit points. But I thought they only had 9 hit points. My players in those very early days thought they were heroes of legend, slaying everything left, right, and centre in single swipes. Anyway, enough about how badly I was in the very, very early days. We still have fun though, and I think that's what it's all about. So as you move through this, you generate your characters. Once you've generated your character, sort of bring it up onto the server. It's up to you. You're more than welcome, if you know how to add inventory items to your character, do so. A little hint is that if you've got multiple options of the same item, it's better to choose some of the paid for content, the official content, because it seems to recognize that a little bit better than the free stuff, basically. So feel free to work through that and generate your character. In the meantime, yeah, I was going to say, is there any questions?
The first hurdle, there is no deep gnome.
There is a deep gnome. You just haven't downloaded the module with deep gnome
Have I got-
in.
I'm sure I selected it too.
What is the deep gnome in? I know there's a deep gnome because I created one earlier. It definitely exists.
Might need to select gnome. I know I had to select elf because I couldn't find drow.
Yeah.
I clicked on gnome. I just got the option of the two.
Boom, 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 boom. Let us have a look. It might be because you haven't downloaded a certain module.
Now it's letting me do them all.
There we
It
go.
was originally giving me the two. No, now I have it.
I trust you. But I mean, I did literally create a deep gnome in a game earlier today, so I know they exist.
Maybe the racial invisibility expired.
Exactly.
The non-detection.
Yep.
Isn't it?
Just hiding.
It must have just been, I think, because I re-clicked on the library and then everything appeared. So, but I had already loaded it all.
Yeah. I believe you. Just turn you up a touch. Excellent stuff.
Andy, quick
Yep.
one. This came up in chat, so just to confirm, is
Yep.
the kind of general, is Undercommon like a general language of Shadowless?
Yes. I mean, Undercommon is one of those languages. Language, the way I deal with languages is the way that I think D&D as a whole deals with language. So you'll find that a lot of Underdark races speak Undercommon, just like a lot of surface races speak Common. But don't assume that if something like I don't know, a drow only speaks drow, it also speaks Undercommon, if you see what I mean. And you can't speak Undercommon to someone and expect them to understand it if they haven't got it in their stat block. Now, obviously, it goes without saying that just because a random sort of drow monster in the monster manual doesn't speak Undercommon, it doesn't mean that selected NPC drow don't have the ability to speak Undercommon as well. But it gives you a rough idea of who and what can speak Undercommon. It's a bit like we were talking about Primordial, I think in the Dust stream. Just because you speak Primordial doesn't mean that everybody that speaks Aquan, Ignan, Terran, and Oriel, Auran,
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily speak Primordial. But it is a role-playing game, and as fun as it is to have the occasional encounters where people can't communicate with each other, it also becomes very dull very fast where nobody can speak with each other. So don't get worried too much about languages. You know, I don't fundamentally design entire campaigns where nobody can speak to each other, because
No, it was more just wondering from a thematic point of view.
yeah. So Undercommon would be a very popular language to speak in the Underdark, in the Shadowless, basically. Hopefully that helps you. And I mean, this is kind of an important point as well, is that as I'm wanting to give players narrative agency with some things, I've not set or created the entire game world, and it's not set in stone. Just with the homebrew rules that we're doing, the background is very fluid, and if I find something isn't being fun, if I find it isn't working, and or the players want to take it in a slightly different direction, one of the great things about not having things set in stone is that we have that give to be able to take the campaigns and the stories in different directions as well. So everything is a little bit fluid, and I haven't spent hours trawling through the monster manual, seeing which creatures can speak undercommon and which ones can't. And if we find that it's not workable, then we can actually um, just make it work. Literally, we can make it up as we go along. We can make it fun, and that is ultimately the aim. Now, sometimes fun means it being challenging. Sometimes, as um, uh, one of our players unfortunately found out today, um, they got themselves in a bit of a pickle, and we've ended on quite a big, dangerous cliffhanger for them. Um, it'll be interesting to see where we go. It really will, you know. And that's part of the fun, the way the dice fall, helping us to tell a story, the way that players have narrative agency as well to guide the story, and myself kind of adding to it. And it's a cooperative journey, and I like it. It's one of the reasons why I can do kind of the crazy hours that I do, because ultimately I don't know what the outcome is to some of these stories, because there are variables, and it keeps me interested. It keeps me on my toes. So yeah, it's great fun. Um, I am very, very tired after a very long week and a very long weekend, so I will be going off tangent and I will be babbling, which maybe makes for entertaining viewing. I'm not quite sure. So as you can see up there, we've got two of our characters already. How are we doing with character generation? Everybody coping okay?
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
adding equipment.
Yeah. Again,
Yep,
no great
thanks.
rush. I'm just making sure that I am not just rattling on and ignoring you that perhaps need some help and guidance. Boom, 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 boom. I can't remember in my state whether I have saved the Shadowless profile, so I'm just going to do this now whilst we are talking. So if I look like I'm being a bit spaced out, I probably am, but I'm also concentrating on extra tech stuff as we speak and talk. How are we doing on here? We're talking about languages. Hope you didn't make a mistake of not picking Dwarvish. Well, we will see. Um, Obviously, in the Court of Five Thunders, if you head out towards the Celestial Kraken, where there are lots of dwarves, more people will be speaking Dwarvish, but even the dwarves will probably be speaking Elvish, as it is kind of the common of the of that setting. Boom, boom. Shout up. Hi, Cold Steel. Thanks for jumping in as well. Good to see you again. I am just loading up images now for this. This is the penultimate one. We've got Miss Blackthorn saying some of my characters speak languages that pretty much never come up, but you like the flavour it gives. Absolutely. Like having lots of languages. One of your favourite feats is linguist. Yeah, that gives you a ton of choices and languages. It's very cool. Oops, folder is what we want. What we want is to open folder, and what we want to do is drop, when I can find it, this into here, which I don't think we had, which is good. And then we
Does the
refresh. Yeah,
equipment from background happen? Does the background equipment happen automatically, or do I still need to go
no,
through and
yeah.
add it?
Unfortunately, one of the weaknesses is there's not an auto equip button for backgrounds and things. What you can do, if you go to your main page, you'll see your background. Your main page of your character sheet, you can see your background. If you click on the brown button, it will open up your background and you can find your equipment list in there fairly rapidly, which allows you to kind of drag it across from items. It's fortunately not as bad as doing higher level characters, because I know that you've done some higher level characters for some of the other campaigns that you are in. Just get this sorted as I'm rapidly adding an image. Ready for later on to show you all. Bar known Silver became 2 miles away, so you couldn't help. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it doesn't help. But as I say, languages are good, and I especially enjoy languages in Fantasy Grounds because there is the neat language function. But it's also, you don't want it to slow down role playing or make it a problem. We had an incident today where none of the party could speak Draconic, and they had to team up with a gnome that wasn't particularly friendly. Well, he's friendly, but was kind of a little bit had a very low charisma, shall we say, and that was quite an interesting encounter. Right, so we've got 3 of our characters now, and we've got some really nice images loaded up there. So I'm going to kind of chat a little bit about character sheets. Again, I think our players kind of know this, so this is for you in chat to see whether you have kind of been paying part. This is session 0, number 8, so I've done this 8 times over the last 2 weeks. So you have your character sheet. The first thing to realize is there's down the right hand side you have these tabs which allow you to access extra things upon your character sheet, which is useful. Go back to your main page. You have your sort of your portrait and your token picture here, little dot for inspiration, your proficiency, your class and level, your background and your race, your ability stats down here, and your saves down here, your senses, your passive perception, your armor class. Your initiative looks, is that right? It is right, isn't it? Your initiative is interesting.
Pretty poor.
Yeah. It's very good. I did have to double check that and go, oh yeah, fair enough. And speed, and then you have your wounds, maximum hit points, and temporary hit points. Now, wounds is the damage you've taken. So when that reaches your maximum hit points, that is when you go on to your death saves. And your hit dice, when you have a short rest, you can drag your hit dice, roll them in the dice box, and they will automatically heal you. Now,
When, not if.
when, not if. Yeah, I mean, I am right in thinking that I said Shadowless is meat grinder, didn't I?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So meat grinder, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the term, means that death saves are successful on a 15 or higher. So you need to roll a 15 or more rather than a 10 or more. Which can make a big difference. It doesn't really impact until obviously you're on death saves, and then it becomes very apparent how deadly it actually is. So trying to stay on your feet, having people that can heal or can at least stabilize you is critical in these sort of grimmer and darker settings, much more dangerous settings.
So I've got a whole tribe of kobolds rolled up. That's
Okay,
fine.
you are going full on paranoia with us then. As one dies, you just replace with another kobold. That sounds good. I mean, hopefully, the thing about Meat Grinder is to add an extra level of threat, not to just kill characters. So I'm hoping it kind of adds that level of threat, but without being kind of disruptive, because we do want to tell a story. We do want to We do want to have continuity of characters. And what's also interesting, we wanted to mix up the settings mechanically so that when you potentially never, but might well happen in this kind of concept of Untold Chronicles, leave the Shadowless, emerge to the surface and go to, you know, a very different setting, and it's nowhere near as dangerous. You can tell tales of how horrible it is down below. Or you might just go to Scraplands and find out it's just as
Yeah.
dangerous again.
Are we allowed to do that with the amount of party that's got sunlight sensitivity?
You can certainly go up, but you do have sunlight sensitive. You know that. I mean, that's the thing. You know, and that is interesting again. You know, and the opposite will work. You know, imagine that we were talking about Ionia. Ionia to me is quite a bright and light setting in the fact that, you know, it's high fan. The gods, the very gods, walk amongst you and bless you. It's all about wine and bacchanalia and festival, really bright and nice. And then suddenly you find yourself in the Underdark or the Shadowless, and it's, you know, it's not all sunshine and roses. In fact, there is no sunshine and quite possibly no roses either. Um, and seeing how characters react to going into these different spaces is definitely going to be interesting as well. Um, so that's your main page of your character. Then you can kind of quickly look at your skills. Again, you click on the totals to make your skill rolls, and then you can change the nature of these as you go up levels. If you need to get more proficiencies, click it, the star shows that it's proficient or double proficiency or half proficiency or no proficiency. Pretty straightforward. I didn't mention the two buttons, so I'll go back to that again. I digressed as I am wont to do on a Saturday and Sunday night. The shield-like buttons, which circular, look like a shield. When you click on those, they give you information about the particular thing that they're about. So that is acrobatics, and it tells you all about acrobatics. They're kind of info buttons. The thing with those are you can manipulate them and drag them around, so you can drop them into chat so that other people can see what's going on. You can also drop them down into the hotkeys, which are down here below, and if you click on those, they open up there as well. So you can maneuver the information about, click on them. You don't have to directly go and look the rules up from the virtual tabletop buttons. It's very much like you've got all the information to hand, which is a very sort of neat function. We just wait for the final image to load up, and then we'll talk about Hero Forge as well, because it's something that I want to do. The other button, yeah.
Sorry, just a quick one. I've got a slight error on my sheet where I've added expertise for sleight of hand. Sorry, not expertise, proficiency, and it's like added a second line, and then it doesn't seem to let me edit it properly.
You can just right click on that, and if you right click right on where it says sleight of hand, it'll bring up a radical.
Yeah.
And you can just go to the dustbin, click on the dustbin, and it deletes the item.
Yeah, and then how do I? All right, so I've added that. Oh, okay, it's added it.
Yeah,
merged it together. That's cool. Thanks.
it is simple as that. I say this every stream, but you know, one of the real big pluses for me about Fantasy Grounds is it's kind of like playing pen and paper. At the moment, I've not found a way to break it. If you make a mistake on it, you can just literally do that. You can delete the item and you can sort of rejig it. You can add items and it seems to understand it. It's really good, and it gives sort of someone who's not particularly good with technology a real sort of confidence just to have fun with it, because if you make a mistake, you can easily rectify it. You can manipulate the information. Yes.
Hi, Andy. Can I give an example of that?
Yeah.
Because I've been ever so quiet because I accidentally deleted all my spells within 2 seconds of opening my character sheet.
Very good.
Nice.
But as soon as I dragged over a spell, it then created here's your cantrips, and as soon as I
Yeah.
dragged over a level 1 spell, it created here's your level 1 spells.
Yeah.
So that, just to reiterate that, there's nothing you can do that can't be fixed.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
suppose.
I think we're yet to find something that we can do that can't be
Yeah.
fixed. But
I
fingers
was so
crossed.
quiet. It was like, Andy, don't choose on me to target something with a spell, because currently I have deleted my ability to cast spells.
Yeah, fingers crossed that we never find that point that we destroy
Yeah.
Fantasy Grounds. But
Fantasy Grounds won't break, but you can build a terrible character.
yeah, absolutely.
That can't be so easily fixed.
Yeah. And as I say, as someone that's not particularly, good with technology, it's not the most intuitive. I'll give you that. But once you know, it's actually really simple to do. And we're getting to the point now where we're finding out an awful lot. Yeah, for instance, we created a language last night that we added to the system, thanks to someone in chat kind of giving that. And there are guides, certainly on YouTube, from people that have developed the system and certainly know even more than we do about it. And it's very, very cool. I'm very happy with it. So if you do need to change information rather than just find out information, it's these little things here, which I've started calling tennis rackets now, because I can't mistake them for hourglasses. So you click on the tennis racket and you get um, a sort of window that you can manipulate the numbers. So the example I tend to use is, if your speed is 30, but you've just leveled up and you're a monk or a barbarian and need to increase your speed, you can click on this. It opens up this page here, and you can change the numbers in your speed. For instance, you can click proficiency if you are not proficient with the shield, and it modifies it. So it's really easy to change the numbers and kind of work out what is going on with everything. So we'll take a quick break for me talking about character sheets, because we've got the final image up here from Rob's character, I believe, and a little bit about Hero Forge. We have contacted Hero Forge, and they have gave us permission to use their images from their website. We just want to say a big thank you to Hero Forge for allowing us to do that. There's a little bit of a disclaimer that will come up into chat in a moment, as if by magic. Brooke's doing a tremendous job of that, which I'll read out now. So many of the character images are designed using Hero Forge, a wonderful way to create your own custom miniatures and get them 3D printed. You can find them at www.heroforge.com. Please note, anything mentioned on the stream may not represent the view or beliefs of Hero Forge, a Sky Castle Studios LLC product. And we're very grateful to them for being very generous to allow us to use their images, because it allows us to create the perfect pictures of how we perceive the player characters and potentially NPCs. So a big shout out to them. If you haven't used their website, check it out. I don't mean this in just check it out. It's super cool. It really is great fun, and I know a lot of people that have lost an awful lot of time kind of trying to work out and create the perfect sort of character. And there are so many choices on there as well. So big shout out to Hero Forge for allowing us to do that. So we have got skills. We move down to abilities. This is where we can kind of store our languages. I've already spoken about languages quite a lot already. But if you want to add them, you can just click on and add additional pages should you need to. All your proficiencies, you can see that, is it Mercurius?
Mercurius. Yeah.
Mercurius, I've said it right. It is a word that I can pronounce. Mercurius has just put all armor, because that's all you really need to do. Having the information there is for information purposes only, rather than it actually directly affecting your character sheet. Fire resistance, reach to the blaze. I have no idea what that does, but we can just do that.
Gives you some spells.
It does. It gives you produce flame and burning hands, because at a push of that little shield button, I can find out that information. So that is very cool. Then we've got Divine Sense and then Lay on Hands. Then we have Inventory. A little thing that we found here is that obviously it adds it all up, and these buttons here is whether you can equip them or carry them or whatever. It gives you your maximum weights that you can do and your current weights. But there's also this column here which is location. So if you want to, you can indicate the kind of stuff that you've got in your backpack. You don't need to, but it really helps when you've got like bags of holding and the other type of things that you can kind of do this. We have someone rolling some traits there as well, which is very cool. So that is that. Then we move to the notes. This is where you can put all of your roleplay details. You can generate them randomly, or you can choose. You can just make them up if you want. It's all about the role playing on this page. And then we have the log. And this tends to be used for sort of Adventurers League. So you can put your DCI number, which is your Adventurers League kind of contact number, and the faction you're working for here. But we don't really use this as we don't tend to run Adventurers League type stuff. And then finally, the actions page, which is again very useful. This is where it lists your weapons and your spells, should you have them. You can cycle through these, so whether your weapon is melee or whether it's thrown or whether it's ranged, how you're using this, so it can be primary hand, two-handed, sort of offhand, or primary hand. So it's really useful if you want to roll the dice to make a hit. Then you can just double click on this and it will make an attack roll just like that. And wow, 22 should hit most things at level 1. Like I said, if you want to manipulate the information, you can click this and it gives you options for entering various different numbers. If you wanted to find out what the weapon does, you can click that and it gives you the information. Really useful if you want to know if a weapon is a simple melee weapon or whatever, when you're trying to work out your combat routines and whether you need to use something with finesse or not with finesse or the like. And the same for all of your weapons is the same for your spells. If you click on the little tennis racket, it gives you options for making an attack and doing damage should you need to. All pretty straightforward. One final thing, because this came up today, you have the mode here, and the mode lets you sort of see different modes. So standard mode tends to be everything. When you go across to preparation mode, whether you've got the items equipped, if you're a spellcaster, you can put all of the spell slots that you've got here into there and it will record them for you. And then you've got combat, which just lists anything that you would use in combat and gets rid of the other utility stuff. And that is a really useful function as well. So that is a very quick run over the character sheets. Apologies in chat if you haven't followed that, but you can watch it on video on demand, and I've done it. This is the 8th time over the last 2 weeks, so don't really want to repeat content too much. Is everybody, is all our players happy with that? Are you all comfortable? Have you done your characters for the moment?
Yes.
Yeah,
indeed.
that's great.
Cool,
Yeah, I
excellent.
think I'm good. I'm just doing the RP page basically.
No, excellent stuff. So with that, then we will move on to. We'll do, because we've sped through that now. During the early session zeros, it was taking us maybe an hour as people were getting used to the fancy grounds, but we're shaving time off, so we've got a little bit of flexibility with time. So we'll do character descriptions and introductions first, and then once we've got that, we will go on to character connections if you haven't already worked those out. So I tend to work from right to left here for some reason, don't know why. So we go to Mercurius, uh, if you were in a movie and it was an opening sequence of the film and the camera was panning down upon you, what would it see? What would your first impressions of the viewers be of Mercurius?
So Mercurius in Flagrante is a fully covered in kind of not plate armor at the minute because of the level, but kind of plated armor and chain head to toe. You can't see any real skin except for the palms of his hands. The armor is covered with, or the chainmail is covered with a red fireproof covering, like a apron, like a leathers. On his shield, he has a symbol of Vulcan, so Volcano. He is a lot of the times, and particularly when annoyed, visibly glowing. On his helmet, you can see these red heat sinks, these kind of bars.
Yep.
In there. He's
So they are kind of heat sinks themselves, sort of glowing. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that's a really nice cinematic, and I would more than happily, if you wanted to create a small effect of dim light around you, if you wanted to. I mean, you have got dark vision anyway, but
yes.
that would mean you would be able to see more clearly in that effect.
I don't think it's necessary because of the produced flame. You can just create it in your hand anyway and use it when necessary.
Perfect.
And I think as well, the other, particularly the rogues, might shoot me if I emitted dim light.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Thank you.
Very nice concept though. I really like the look of that character. Absolutely. So that's a quick sort of introduction. We'll do character connections in a minute. So we'll move on to the next one at the moment, which is, how are we pronouncing this? Skygy?
Oh no, it's Skig.
Skig.
Hello.
Perfect. Hello.
So stepping out probably from behind the massive size of Mercurius is a relatively short, young drow called Skig, who is dressed in what appear to be fishing leathers, including hat that would be a sou'wester but is made of leather instead.
Excellent.
Carries a fish knife, probably looking in awe at the enormous armor-clad gentleman who is nearby, but with a slight fascination. And will spend some time perhaps talking to himself occasionally, but generally seems very happy to be here.
Cool. It's good to meet a young drow. Then we move to this character here, which is a kobold. And is it Struck?
It is Struck
Struck.
Shadowclaw. He's a wily and chirpy kobold from the Shadowclaw clan, which are all purple-skinned kobolds with a series of black horns on their head. He's kind of dressed in roguish leathers, and is fond of his bow and arrow, and he's just kind of lounging about, trying to get a measure of this new group of people.
Perfect. And a kobold as well. Very nice. And then finally we move to Diglind. Is that correct?
Yeah. Diglin's kind of this fairly short, muscular, bald, deep gnome. Be looking around quite jittery, fairly paranoid. Dark grey skin apart from his cheeks and nose that kind of flushed pink. Long, disheveled beard that ends just before the ground that he's knotted up. Wears these frayed leather shorts and a belt with pouches attached to it, which carries most of what he has with him.
Yep.
The only other thing that's kind of might stand out is this oversized tome of unknown origin, and he has a quarterstaff attached to his back.
Excellent stuff. And as Brooke said in chat, lovely names, perfect for the Underdark, and substantially more pronounceable for me than some of the other settings, which I was not anticipating. Excellent. So we've got a feel for them. Have you? I've already said that you are in a collection, a gathering, really, a small community called Haggle. This is where we're going to start the campaign off, which is partly in a old deep gnome city, deep under the ground within the Underdark, but in the upper Underdark. Um, did I say it's about a day's travel, maybe a day and a half's travel from the surface? Is that what I said?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
yeah. Because I wanted to set it so that it was kind of the last outpost before you would get to the surface. Um, so this is going to be not necessarily the setting, but the place that you find yourselves in the first episode. Have you had chance to sort of work out connections as such as yet?
So we've only had a very brief chat about it, but Andrew had a really good idea, which I think is quite a cool one. So I'll let I think you should talk through it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, if you're right with it. So the idea was that maybe previous to this, or whatever we're doing now, we've done one job that we were asked to do, and it was just a generic kind of caravan. I was thinking maybe I did look up what they're called. Basically, like a group of Underdark cows, and we were protecting them from bandits
Right.
going between two places. And that's kind of the one mission. We've all done it together. We got paid for it. We've just got back in town, and now kind of we're talking about things that happened during that.
Perfect. So I
If you've
mean,
got a better suggestion for something we might have done, then obviously
no,
throw it
no.
out.
I mean that to me is that you are forming together a kind of adventuring party. Yeah, Deep Roth, which
That was it. Yeah.
yeah. Thanks, Gustav, and hi to you. Thanks for joining us as well. No, I mean that works just as well for me. Um, what I am interested to know then is um, how did you come about? I mean, obviously you were a group looking to earn some coin. Um, how do you get on? Are you all fairly sort of relaxed in each other's company? I mean, the Underdark is a place that can forge brothers and sisters together. But because it is a very dangerous place to be on one's own, the fact that you are an eclectic group of different races kind of seems to indicate that maybe you have all fallen away from your own communities. Um, so, how or why have you looked for this lifestyle? What is the driving force for you to become a band of, in effect, an adventuring company, a band of mercenaries? Is there anything that might have sparked it for any of you? And this is an open question to all four of you at the moment.
Something that could have happened is I'm from the smoke, and I've come down here with an intention to kind of explore the Underdark more often. So maybe I'm trying to cozy up to Michael's character, to Skig,
Skig, yeah.
who's I think
Oh,
kind of a guide.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to lean on your expertise a bit. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
I mean, Skig, you are
yeah.
a drow,
And
yeah, but you said you're a young drow. I mean, how old are you?
Skig's currently a bit terrified by the phrase "lean on me" when he's in plate, and just generally his size. But he's too young to be earning a living on a fishing boat, which is why he has to be earning money.
Hmm.
So, as the son of a fishing family who were injured during a trip, he's having to get money to support them, but he's too young to go out on any of the fishing boats. So I would say I was rapidly looking up ages of drow. So I
Yeah.
think he's probably still in his teenage years, but
Okay.
not much.
That's fine. I mean, we can easily work out an Elvish translation to that, but
Yeah.
he's basically the equivalent of a teenage drow, which is good. And I know that you've kind of had a little bit of a thought about the community you're from, because not all Underdark or Shadowless drow are worshippers of Loth, and they don't come from those kind of oppressive communities. Is that the community that you're from, or are you from sort of a group of non-Lothites? I don't want to say renegades, because that's what Loth would call them. You wouldn't necessarily call yourselves renegades.
I don't mind, Andy, as long as there was a fishing place, a place where they could sort of get that background and whatever.
Mhm.
I don't really mind whether it was the nicer Cornwall type Underdark or the regular sort of Lolthy Underdark. I don't mind. I'm quite happy to go
It,
whatever is more sort of
I mean,
sensible given
uh,
where we are.
either and either, but it's quite a major sort of decision for you as a player to choose, because service of Loth is not easily given up once you have committed yourself. I mean, I see that you have an interesting class. Um,
Yes.
have you decided the type of patron that you have?
Yes, it's someone who helped bring my parents back from their fishing trip. So it is some denizen of the undersea um,
Okay,
who was very kindly brought them back. So
that means that you probably do not kind of worship Loth, or you can try and do that. But she is a most jealous of gods, and would look very sorely upon someone whose attentions are distracted elsewhere.
I hear Cornwall's nice, so maybe from there.
Okay.
I think it's one less thing to worry about.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, but obviously there are these vast drow cities that are dedicated to Loth, um, and whilst you could easily pass for a drow amongst them, um, they would be not fond of you if they realised that your faith was elsewhere, which is good. But how do you feel with Mercurius sort of leaning on you as potentially a guide?
I'll certainly do my best. Um, I'm fascinated by some of the stories he has of the smoke, and
Hmm.
I'm quite happy to sort of show him things. I don't know things anywhere near as well as my friend Struck, who I kind of rely on for more sort of wits and things like that. Um,
That is a perfect introduction then, because you mentioned that Struck is your friend.
well, Skig thinks so, and
Right, okay.
Michael is quite happy for it to be one way only if that's the case.
So
But
yeah, we can question Struck about Stig then. Struck, what is your opinion of Stig being your friend?
Well, I think we'd kind of very briefly like put forward this idea that Struck and Skig had kind of been on a couple of I don't know what the right word is, skirmishes or something together
Hmm.
in the past, and they'd found that their skills kind of meshed quite nicely, where Skig would be able to create diversions, and then Struck would be able to go in and kind of nick stuff. Um, so they've kind of formed a kind of working relationship,
Okay.
which has then led them into this group.
Yep.
Um, so
So
yeah, I don't. I'm not. Have I got that right, Michael?
oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
Skig has no idea what he's doing or how to get money, and Struck points him at things to help.
perfect. And it seems that both of you probably obviously encountered Mercurius at the same time. So then we move finally to Diglingd. How on earth did you find yourself amongst this group?
Probably by chance, probably wandering on my own. Probably picked up by the group as being an ex kind of gem miner and a hunter for those kind of things. So as a way of maybe a side hustle to the actual jobs,
Yeah,
potentially coming with extra bits of coin that wouldn't come as part of that.
perfect. And I mean, with your nature of being a deep gnome, I mean, are you familiar with this ruined deep gnome city? Have you heard legends about it? Do you have any anticipations of maybe uncovering the lost treasures of the previous deep gnomes that were here? Um, or is this area new to you anyway?
We've gone into it yet, I don't think, but he very much kind of loves a mystery, and the opportunity to explore that would be where he's probably the one trying to pull the group in that
In that
direction.
direction? And I mean, Haggle is the name of the trading post that is part of this collection of deep gnome ruins. And as I said, I think in the information there is rumours of um, a sort of legendary mine where flawless rubies were uncovered, and rubies are one of the most precious gems of the deep gnomes. And if you could find that, you would be made for life. Um, but I think that is another perfect sort of reasoning for how and why you have joined this small group of adventurers and why you find yourselves potentially in haggle at the moment. Um, for those of you who are wondering, this is just a little bit of a spoiler for you. I'm just about to answer that, Pete, actually. I do kind of wonder which campaign setting this lot is going to find themselves appearing on the surface. Not sure if Andy has said that yet. I was literally about to say that. So it has been decided. I kind of worked out there are many entrances and exits to the Shadowless. So I had a whole sort of choice of where we wanted it to be. Because Mercurius is from the smoke, um, it seems right to kind of tease and spoil um, the entrance that they are closest to, the entrance that Haggle is closest to, and a sort of drum roll. It is somewhere in the mountain range that surrounds the dredges. Is here, so that is where it is. You would be most definitely familiar with that, Mercurius. But I think
Yeah.
having been in the smoke as well, and I know that you are a long time player, you are aware that there are entrances from the pit, the big mine that is beneath the smoke that also leads into the Shadowless as well. That
Mhm.
still exists. Um, but yeah, Haggle is about a day or so's journey through the Shadowless to the surface. Um, so there we go. That is where they are. Um, I think that works perfectly well for your group if you are all happy with that. I think it's quite a nice classic start to a sort of campaign, that you are a group of people that have come together for profit and survival, and potentially you're going to explore these ruins of this city, or potentially, and even I don't know, because this isn't scripted. This is the Untold Chronicles, and players have agency. I've called this Shadowless. You are a day's journey from the surface. You have agency. That there is no contract between me as a GM and you as the players to stay in the Shadowless. You can literally, if you want as players, leave it and go and explore where you might come out. So it's quite exciting as well, to see what exactly is going on. So without further ado, yeah, it's terrible when you give players free choice. God, anything could happen. So this is our very final one. Again, big thanks to Jam Hands for creating all of these. We've got one for each of the 8 settings at the moment, and there is our collection of final characters ready for the Untold Chronicles campaign in Shadowless, and we have encountered them today. That is very nice.
Andy,
Yep.
the last thing for me, the nature of being sage, you get the dangers and whatnot. I've stuck it in my notes, like the background information. So I guess that's up to you to fill in
Yeah, that's
what
okay.
those actually end up being.
We can have a look at that. So, I mean, again, one of the great things about Fancy Grounds is like all of this is here. Be even better if I can kind of do that. So, yeah, is it just the last bits of information there? The rag and the dangers of the book, what the temple is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can message you that before we start session 1. So at least you've got that information as well, and it's really useful.
In character, he knows very little.
Yeah, but you kind of want me to have a think about it, so it is there in the background. Absolutely. So yeah, very excited again, especially with this one because there are so many options. The Shadowless is very dangerous, but there are a lot of items that can be uncovered within the Shadowless that have great value on the surface. You could flip that. You could decide to go to the surface um, and try and find items of value that you can trade within the Shadowless. And we have this wild card. Mercurius has already said that he wants to do something with the smoke. So we could quite rapidly see these individuals maybe tempted or persuaded in a completely different direction. And then once again, this is one of the great things is that I truly don't know where any of these campaigns is going to go. So finally, I'm going to click on this PC button again, and we have for now our entire sort of retinue of characters. Look at all of these. I'm just going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 32, which is correct. 32 characters. Although we do have two
Luciuses.
Yeah. So are we missing something? Have we got all the characters there? I will have to double check. But yeah, I've just noticed we have 2 Luciuses.
There was
might
that
be-
one last night from Shadowless. I think we're missing one of the players.
Yeah, we are
Oh,
missing
thank you.
Jack's character. Thank you very much for that.
Yep.
The
That
other kobold.
Yeah, I will sleep safer tonight. Not going, we've lost somebody already. I mean, I've tried to lose Thud quite a few times this week, but he just won't die. He's relentless. He is relentless.
He keeps getting resurrected as Thrud.
Yeah, Thrud. That's probably copyrighted. I probably really need to stop saying that. But if you ever did see any of the really old White Dwarfs, it was a very, very funny cartoon in there, kind of mocking Conan the Barbarian. There we go. So yeah, super excited. And we're there. We have done all the characters, more or less. And it all starts on Tuesday night. All starts on Tuesday night with kind of a double bill. We are doing Masked from 7 o'clock live stream there through to 10. and then from 10:30 we will be doing the very first part of this campaign. The Masked campaign is linked to this, so anything you've seen on Masked at the moment is canon in the Untold Chronicles world. So if you can tune in then and catch that stream, that would be awesome. If you can't, then at 10:30 to midnight, our very first Untold Chronicles episode 1 of The Smoke, and it's going to be very interesting to see where we're going with that. So we're kind of winding down now. We've got about 25 minutes. If you've got any questions in chat that you want to ask about this or about other things, if you as players have got any sort of final questions or ideas you want to throw out, feel free to shout up as well. Whilst you're doing that, I will talk about other random things. Just checking chat again. What we are saying here, it's pretty gloomy a lot of the time around the dredges, though. It is gloomy. I mean, one of the things is obviously the smoke is always covered in this pea super of smoke. So those of you who have got sunlight sensitivity have a much better time in the smoke than elsewhere. Pete is saying, I've just remembered something I forgot in the rush of Friday night, though. So please shout up.
I'm wondering if we go north to Frostholm and where with all the snow blindness.
Yeah.
That's gonna with the sunlight sensitivity.
Yeah.
That's gonna.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go north into the white, I mean, it's called the white for a reason, and especially if you catch it where it's 24 hours of sunlight, it will just send you insane. I've just done a Beyond the Mountains of Madness Call of Cthulhu game tonight, and it was very, very cool. So, Cold Steel Penguin, any chance of a new campaign on Friday morning or early afternoon? I'm going to keep asking you and throwing gift subs at you until it happens. Yeah, I'm certainly not opposed to it. We do need to have a group of players ready for that. So I'll start asking about it. I say I'm certainly not opposed to running another game. So we can do that. Do you have more? Oh, thank you very much. That is very generous of you. And it is Insomniac that has got that sub from Cold Steel. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. So yeah, Friday game. We will be doing something. What did grab us in the dredges on the way as we can go as an 8? Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
imagine if we just get all the parties together and start trying to kill a dragon.
Yeah.
With like 32 level 2 characters.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Thank you very much again, Pete, for the sub. I really appreciate that. And we have hit our subs target for the week. So 10 subs. That will reset tomorrow, but really appreciate it. It makes a huge difference to what we're doing. But as you said, Andrew, the sky's the limit with what we can do here. As I say, I'll keep opening this up, but we've got all of these characters, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they interact. The settings are starting points, absolutely, and I've had to have a very big think about it, because currently the episodes are based around the settings title. And that's going to get very confusing very fast, because at the moment the smoke is the smoke, and obviously Shadowless is Shadowless, Iona is Iona. But as players move from one location to the other, we still will be having the Shadowless, but it might be in the dredges or it might be elsewhere. So it's going to get very confusing very fast. So yeah, this is what I'm going to say, Jamhands, is that Um, it might be interesting to kind of either create names for the parties, and that's how I started organising the ticketed events I run. Um, so if you have any ideas for party names, adventure and company names, it would be really, really useful so that we can gain a degree of conformity. So we can have whatever your adventure and company name is moving. And it's not suddenly episode 24 of the smoke, but it's not in the smoke. But we've got other characters that are in the smoke. So I don't know whether I'm making sense. I feel like I am making sense, but
Yeah, it makes sense.
um, I can see from experience of running games how easily confusing it will be if we don't sort of manage that. So I might be working on that and throwing out ideas and speaking in Discord to people in these games, so that when we do episode ones, we've got a different campaign name to the setting. So expect that as well, because otherwise it will get confusing very, very rapidly. And again, I don't want to constrain the groups to staying in these settings. It'd be good to explore them, but at the same point, you have agency to move around this world. Moving around the world is going to be slow initially because you don't have access to the funds to teleport or do anything else. But as you go and gain power, sort of moving around will become sort of easier and easier.
It'll be
Uh,
level 5 when we get sending, I think, is when things
yeah,
might start to get a bit complicated, because
yeah,
then we can talk a lot more easily.
yeah,
That might not be great.
yeah. Gerb House, they're already on YouTube. We have to wait 24 hours. So the one from last night and the one from today are not on YouTube. But if you go to our YouTube channel, you can see all of the Untold Chronicles on there now. I'm guessing you're kind of going to go, well, what is that? Please like and subscribe in YouTube. It's better for us if you subscribe in Twitch, because we gain revenue from it. It's not a huge amount of revenue, but every subscription helps us fund what we do. But it's free to do in YouTube. So for our metrics, if you like and subscribe all of the things in YouTube, it really helps as well. And that is free to do. The actual reality of YouTube is it's very difficult to sort of monetize. Um, but that is our YouTube channel. Go across there now. You'll see that we've got playlists. Um, if you've got the time, sort of look at them. But you can go across to that YouTube channel and like those and subscribe. And it helps us. I think we need something crazy like 1,000 subscribers. And then we need about 4,000 hours of viewing. Yeah, absolutely, Miss Blackthorn. So it's a dream, it's a target, but the Twitch subscribes is is most definitely the way of helping us move forward, sort of financially. Cheers, Gerb House. Thanks for the sub. It also helps if you like and watch each video. Not sure how much of each would need watching. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Looking at it, it basically says that we need to hit something like 4,000 hours of people watching. It's early. This is the very very first that we're doing. As we grow, hopefully more and more people will be watching. I genuinely don't know whether what we do is hugely viewable, um, um, in terms of members of the community, people that are involved in Untold Chronicles. Are invested in it, so they want to view, and our community is helping us out tremendously. Um, but who knows where we can take it? And I like to think that it's, we're always learning. I'm always learning. So as we move forward with what we do, and we gain more confidence, and there's more and more people helping with the tech side and the graphics and everything else, it's really sort of growing. But I think you're right, Pete. Just making fun and enjoying what we do is the goal of it. Especially with what we're doing at the moment. The thing about doing role play games is that it's going to be incredibly dull, boring. If I'm not passionate about it, if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, if you as the players are not enjoying it. Um, but yeah, it's there to do. I really appreciate every single like and tick. Social media is a very crowded platform at the moment, but if you can like and retweet and share sort of posts, it gets them out. If there are any gamer friends of yours, ask them to join in with the community. The Discord channel that we do is most definitely sort of grown and is a really active community now, which is great. And we're working very hard on our Twitch subscriber perks, which we're kind of adding more and more sort of ideas to. So we've got loads and loads of ideas, but it is slow progress. And I think what happens to a lot of streamers is they think it's a very easy sort of method of making a load of money, and they get to play video games and that. And it's not. It's that they're very clever at Twitch and YouTube in the fact it's all about consistency over time. I mean, that is one kind of audience, a Cold Steel. I don't think it appeals to necessarily everybody, and it can actually kind of work against some things as well. So I think it's all about being passionate about the thing that you are doing, and then being consistent, streaming on a regular time. Um, so yeah, but genuinely, I very, very much appreciate everybody's help, and I'm actually very um, excited about Untold Chronicles. I think it can very much take us um, into sort of exciting territory, which I'm not entirely sure has ever been done in the way that we are doing it at the moment. So I don't think I've got much more to say about that, but big, big loves to you all really for helping us push this forward, and I hope you're all going to enjoy it as well. Have we got any other questions?
Only can I ask something, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a total lie. It's me. Basically, I feel, probably speaking for lots of people here, a huge thanks for setting this up, because this has been 2 weeks of ongoing awesomeness. You've got 32 players split over 8 different games running as well as all the other ones. And I just wanted to say thanks ever so much for this. We're all looking forward to it, I think.
Well, no, and I really appreciate that. It's about all working together. Your enthusiasm for the game will really help push the game forward. And I mean, we are in difficult times as well. I mean, I don't particularly want to harp onto it either politically or about the times that we're in. And I very much believe a little bit of escapism, regardless of politics, is just good for people to literally put the real world behind us for a while. And it doesn't matter who you are or what you sort of believe in. You are a different person, and you can really just throw yourself into the game. And I think escapism in this sort of times that we're going through is really important. And it gives people a chance to gather with like-minded people and have a laugh and de-stress. And I think that is hopefully I'm delivering that kind of service. I really do. And it helps me as well. I really enjoy what I'm doing. This is the thing that I've been passionate about ever since I first came into contact with it. And to be able to do this now, sort of run all of these games with some absolutely awesome people, is a dream come true. And I know we joke about the crazy hours that I work, and I'm not going to lie, it's not tiring because it's just the sheer amount of hours, but it's also a delight to do. So, and people say, well, how do you do it? I don't understand, how do you do it? I do it because I love it. It's passionate, and the time just disappears and melts away. So that is how I really do it. And it's good to lose ourselves for a while. It's good to kind of have a little bit of agency and control, I think. Whilst we talk about variance with the dice, the thing is that you know what your modifiers are and you know what dice you're rolling. So you still have control. It's like, do I want to make this roll? Don't I want to make this roll? And you have control about what you do. And the control is having that agency and control, I think, in these uncertain times is a really positive thing to have as well. And it's just great fun. Some of the games that we run, as I think most of you are aware, we certainly don't take it too seriously. And some games can just be about sitting around with a group of friends and having fun. So I really appreciate your comments. I really do. I take it to heart. So thank you. Anything else that anyone wants to say? All right. There we go. So, I mean, it is quite interesting, really, because I run so many games, and it's really nice. And it's quite challenging sometimes, and by challenging, I don't necessarily mean hard work, but um, kind of trying to work out the buttons I need to press to um, allow you those moments to enjoy. And it might not be you, it might be another character that's in the same group as you, so that they create the scene. But I can't take all the credit. I'm kind of a facilitator, I guess. But you're all super awesome as well. And without players, you can't have GMs, and without GMs, you can't have players. So a lot of people, I think, are coming to the realization that it is about cooperative. Um, Absolutely, everything is growing. I'm not saying we don't need to spread the word, but I think it is helping us keep everybody sane as well. If we were sane in the first place, and I'm not sure whether I entirely am. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I am pleased to be moving from the session zeros now. It feels very much like I've repeated myself 8 times, which is what I have actually done. It's been great to sort of see the characters developed, and it's been great to see them, now those 32 characters. But I am super excited and keen to launch the actual games and see how they go. There's quite a lot of things I'm curious about, might even say anxious, because we're talking about hour and a half games, and that is kind of a challenge, really. It's a challenge, not a challenge, if you know what I mean. I kind of want to feel that we have done something in that hour and a half, and ultimately, as I've just mentioned, having fun is the primary aim. But it'd be nice to kind of try and tell a little bit of a story as well. Um, so yeah, it's going to be challenging. Yeah, it's good to know the Greyhawk community is quite tightly knit. They could help spread the word if you stream Greyhawk content. There's lots of things that we can do. Obviously, we have chosen at the moment to kind of go our own way with Untold Chronicles. Could be a mistake, you know. We sort of streaming something like Curse of Strahd would be amazing, but there are lots of people out there doing exactly that, and they do a fantastic job of it. So I thought, let's be different. Let's gather a large number of people and be this ensemble cast of different characters, and let's not keep them constrained in their own little games. Let's make it an open world where the characters can eventually cross, and we can do that Marvel Cinematic Universe thing of you know, end game, everybody come together and maybe fighting that dragon and whatever. You know, we are doing Battles of Legend for a reason. We are experimenting with the idea of how many characters can we get on Fantasy Grounds in a single combat. There's all sorts of ideas that we are playing around with, and quite often some work, some don't work. But that's why you experiment. Um, to see what is capable and what isn't. You know, sometime down the line, we should be able to use video as well, which will be interesting. Some of the games we probably will do, for some of the games we probably won't. I'm very curious to see whether people are happy, almost like a podcast, only hearing players' voices, and whether that focuses their attention on the story and the characters rather than the personalities behind the characters. Um, as you can probably tell, I think an awful lot about things, and I'm interested to see how all these things play out. Right. Any final questions as we begin to reach that witching hour of midnight? Tomorrow is technically my day off, and by day off I mean I don't actually run any games. I will be live on social media, sort of doing all of the admin and sending out invites to the games for next week. Pete says we need to talk video tech in tech chat. No idea how we're thinking that we set it up. Yeah, it's good. Um, you have a game as a dream battle, so every kind knows of each other, and if they die, maybe have a little. That after 15 hours of gaming today, Gerb House makes little to no sense, but I'm sure it is awesome. I'm sure that is awesome, but I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Um,
Presumably, like a PvP between all the players.
yeah,
We fight it all, and then we don't actually die because it's in weird dreamlands.
I mean you can do battle royales easily. PvP doesn't work so well in Dungeons and Dragons. It's not really designed to be player versus player as a system. Um, Yeah, no worries, Cold Steel. Thanks very much again for the subs. Really appreciate it. But as a kind of little one shot, it can be done. I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying it's not really designed to be player versus player, which is one of the reasons why you have monsters and NPCs with challenge ratings rather than using NPCs that are created with the character creation rules. Um, there are all sorts. My idea of battles for legend is you have a large number of player characters that are against a big boss and a big boss minions, very similar to World of Warcraft raids, basically. Um, which we kind of did earlier, and it does work. Having a GM kind of playing the bad guys and playing the bad guys as the monsters that they are means that um, they make decisions based on what they are as opposed to kind of what is the optimal thing to happen. But we've got Battles of Legend, I believe, next Friday. So if you are a subscriber, uh, jump across to the Discord Twitch subscriber perks and you can sign up there for Battles of Legend. We want as many people as possible. If it crashes the game, then we might have to do sort of as you die, somebody else jumps in, but we can easily sort of test things out. Anyway, we are coming up to that midnight hour, so I do want to say a big thank you to our players for creating their characters, and we will be seeing them as these characters in a fortnight's time when we do our episode 1 of Shadowless. I want to thank everybody in chat for keeping me company. I want to thank you for all the subs that you've done. We've hit our target for the week, so really appreciate that. That is going to help us no end. And I will chat with a lot of you tomorrow. So until then, big loves to you all. Stay safe, and I will catch you all very, very soon.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cheers.